an incredible group. I think that's on. I'm the bouncer. Okay, so if you're going to try to get out of here early, you got to give me a good excuse. It's my pleasure being on the board of NCE to welcome the incredible Enrichment Center Percussion Ensemble. And I just want to, it really takes a road crew to make something like this happen. And you'll see Steve over here, Assesta, and Steve is the digital photographer, so he goes on the bus with everybody. We have Sue in the back here. Sue, can you raise your hand? She's the gallery director. We got Morgan Kraft back here, and Morgan is the record producer. And you'll see some of their CDs afterwards. Again, they're from Winston-Salem, and the person who puts this all together is Aaron Bachelder, who's the music specialist, and he's going to introduce the stars.
Hi, everybody. Thank you all for coming. Let me go ahead and introduce you to the group. On the end here, playing the bells, we have Valerie Williams. On the vibraphone, Meredith Lamy. You met Morgan. He's helping us out on the bass and everything else. Various percussion. We heard marimba and some hand drums. We got Walker Lewis Jr. There on the drums, Marcy Haley. On the piano, Jonathan Lindsay. And on keyboards, Andrew Shoemaker. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how we started this group and what we've done. Since I'm a performer and not a speaker, I'm going to keep that to a minimum. And we're going to play some more for you. And we're going to leave some time if you have any questions. We started the group in 1997, so we've been going for 11 years now. How it came about was I was in school. I was studying composition. I had, for several years prior to that, been working in the field of developmental disabilities. I'd worked in a couple group homes. I'd worked in a vocational program, various things. So while I was in school, I got a job with a one-on-one provider, which allowed me the flexibility that I needed to work during school. And I was placed in the Enrichment Center, and I hadn't heard of the Enrichment Center before. I wasn't working for them, I was working for this other company. But the Enrichment Center had existed for many years before that as an arts-based center, which I thought was really cool. And they had, even at that point, as their emphasis, a vocational angle rather than a therapeutic angle. They had pottery and art, woodworking, poetry, dance, drama. They had all that going on there. But they didn't have music. They had had some music in the past, but they didn't have it at that time. So as I was finishing up, I came to the arts director and made a proposal that we see what we could do with music. As I was studying classical music at the time, my initial concept was that we could be sort of a classical percussion ensemble like all universities have, most universities have, and which I had played in for years, with the difference being that I would create most of the music for them. And that's really how we operated for a couple of years. We made our first recording with the violin instructor, one of the violin instructors from the North Carolina School of the Arts, Sarah Johnson. She commissioned me to write a piece for her and the group, and that was our first recording. I think we have a few of those here. But not long after that, Marcy was introduced to the drum set, and it was really good. So that shifted our direction. Prior to that, I normally conducted the group either from a marimba or from a vibraphone. You may not be familiar with those instruments, but they're really big xylophones. And it's a tricky instrument to direct a group because your hands are just really full and your eyes are really engaged with keeping up with where you are on the instrument. So given that and the fact that that as a lead instrument, the mallets, the vibes, the marimba didn't work as well with the drum kit. The drum kit really suggested rock and roll. So I picked up the guitar. I played a little bit. And I picked up the guitar. Marcy was playing drums. We kept all the other stuff, as you can see. But that really pushed us in the direction of rock music. Then Andrew joined us. He was the next one to join us, I think. I failed to mention, Valerie and Marcy are original members. They've been with us for 11 years. Everyone else has joined along the way, and a few have dropped out. Where was it? Andrew joined us, thank you. Andrew joined us, and Andrew has been playing since he was a very small child, as I understand it. Andrew and Jonathan and Walker had prior musical experience, but the rest of the group did not. And Andrew came with a deep knowledge of oldies and church music, and so he added yet another dimension in that more popular direction. So after that, we made that first recording, which is more of a classically oriented recording. We started working with Morgan, who owns a record company called Micro Earth Records, and he produced our second record for us. Our first, it was just our own, and that's called 3 Pieces, and it's sort of a transitional kind of record. I think it's it has the drums, it has the guitar, but really follows more of a classical minimalist kind of aesthetic. And we've just released our third recording, which is called 10 Songs. Which we are on tour promoting. We played yesterday at the American Folk Art Museum in Manhattan. Great show. They have a program called Free Music Fridays every Friday, and they open up the gallery to the public for free and have music. We were their performers last night. I'd like to talk a little bit about how we've done it, what the techniques are. When we began, I borrowed a lot of ideas from basic task teaching techniques, hand-over-hand modeling, all of those sorts of things. Those adapted really, really well to music. And in the process, I've learned how to play mallet instruments upside down and keyboard instruments upside down because I'm modeling them backwards. So I sometimes mix up my right and left because I will speak right and left and I'm mirroring. So, and then after, well, let me back up. We would work with small, what in music we would call cells, small bits of melodic information. If we're working on the mallet instruments, we would start with very small bits, 2 or 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes. We build it up as it goes along. That would play in essentially a loop. We play over and over again until a cue for something else to happen. Okay? That was sort of the first step. And in music, to retain interest, you need variety. Things have to change. So one thing that I discovered, and partially borrowed from some of the classical minimalist composers, was that you can create change by differing lengths of loops of information. So one person might have a sequence of 5 beats that repeats over and over again. Another person might have a sequence of 7 beats that repeats over and over again. So then, the first beat that happens doesn't come back for 35 beats. So you have this constantly regenerating material.